Tell me a little bit about you, your business, and how you got started.
Perfect. Yeah, so I just recently actually moved to Lakeland about a year and a half ago. I was in South Florida. That's where I started doing hair and running, being in the salon business. And I moved to Lakeland actually to slow down. My son was starting school and I just really had loved the Lakeland area. So we moved here and I started working and I just kind of couldn't find the salon vibe that I was looking for. So it was one of those things like, okay, then I'll just create it. I've kind of done something like that before, so we decided to kind of start with our first location, which was about 700 square feet, and it quickly expanded and we just ran out of space. So then we launched our other location, and that one was ready to open 2 days after everything had to shut down. So that was always exciting. And but then as soon as they allowed everything to open up, we opened up nice and full, which was great. So we opened that on May 11th, and then our first site, our first location just expanded, and we just opened that up last week. So we added about 3,000 square feet onto that one, and yeah, and really, my heart and vision is, and where we kind of get our name is just that we believe that people can establish their dreams here. So if it's to work for us or work for themselves, or even if it's just someone sitting in our chair, that we get to be a part of people's lives, and we get to hear about the highs and the lows of and all the gossip and good stuff that we love. And but yeah, we just get to be there for people, and that's kind of just where we get the heart and the mission of it.
That's amazing. I know that's kind of interesting, your story of moving kind of from like a big, I'm going to assume big city, everything in South Florida is big city. I grew up in Miami, so I can relate to the need for a slower lifestyle, moving to an area like Lakeland that from the outside's perspective is like, in comparison, there's not as much going on. But when you think about that work-life balance and being able to maintain both, I imagine raising a family here.
Yes. Well, and it's funny, I always say I came here to slow down, but I do more here than I did down there.
I think there's more opportunity because it's probably not as saturated, right?
Definitely. And it also, Lakeland's so unique because not only is there space to grow, but there's the desire to connect with everybody. And they're like welcome you with open arms, and everyone's ready to collaborate, which was just so unique to Lakeland. And sometimes when you get so many people in an area like South Florida, it's kind of hard to find those collaborations because there's just almost too much, So we've really enjoyed that part.
Yeah, the collaboration over competition is huge.
Definitely.
And that's definitely something we've learned in doing these interviews and talking to other small business owners. There's definitely that sense of community.
Yes.
How would you say that sense of community has helped you all in getting established, 37 established, if you will?
I would say we were just able quickly, people are ready to just be a part of whatever you're doing, but also we were able to work with local artists and photographers and all the creatives, which is just great to help you kind of bring your vision to a visual so that we can capture that, which makes it go further faster. And honestly, actually, in the shutdown, when salons weren't able to open up at the very beginning. So we decided to pivot, and we opened up that first Saturday as just like a pop-up where we worked with some local artists. Like one of the girls, she does jewelry, and she had started that during the pandemic. One of our girls learned how to make like the tapestries, and she started that during the pandemic.
Oh, how cool.
So it was just fun. We're like, you know what? We can't do hair yet, but they said that we can do retail, so let's do that. So just sometimes those little pivots, we're like, hey, like, what did you learn? What do you know how to do? And kind of ran with that, and everyone's just been welcoming, so it's been really nice.
Yeah, and that's really cool, like making use out of the hobbies that people picked up during quarantine that they maybe had not have been able to help out in that area otherwise.
Yeah.
What was your kind of like your mindset and kind of like what was going through your head when the shutdown happened? Obviously, like trying to open a brand, maintaining a business in a pandemic is one thing, but opening a brand new one is a totally different story. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, honestly, it was really scary because, like anybody, everyone was freaked out, and at least I was at the very beginning. I was like, okay, 2 weeks. Like we'll probably be closed 2 weeks, and then we'll be okay. But as time progressed, it's that you're already in so far. Like all your money is in the floors and it's in the wall. You're like too far along to turn around, which is kind of a good thing. Yeah. But yes, it was definitely scary. But I just really had a peace about it. I was like, just prayed about it, and I just felt like, we're gonna see you through. You're gonna get over to the other side, and it's gonna come out even better. And it was nice because then I could kind of take the break and be like, okay, I don't have to put everything up today. I have a few weeks to hang the cabinets because we're not going to be open. And we could interview people and hang out with people and get to know them a little bit better. And I think it even gave people the opportunity to stand back from maybe where they were working at the moment and see, okay, this is kind of like a reset point. Where can I go from here? And it really created, not only people were just excited to get out of their house, so they're excited to see their hairdresser, but then it's exciting to go to a new place too sometimes. So I think it kind of created that new fun buzz as well. And so everyone came back to something nice and new and clean. So, which is always exciting. So I think it ended up being really for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. I know everyone's like first hair appointment post quarantine was a huge event. I won't ever forget mine. I was so excited. Right? People had been cutting hair on their own in their homes and dyeing their hair by themselves.
That was the scary part.
You were probably not really sure what what people were going to look like walking in.
Yes, I was like, put down the scissors.
You're like, it's going to be all right.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. So you mentioned, working with local photographers in the area just to kind of like bring your, the visuals of your company to life, if you will. So can you talk to me a little bit about like your social media strategy and how that played into opening up your business?
Yeah. Social media has always kind of been a passion of ours, and I work closely with my sister. She helps manage all our social media for us, and it's really nice to actually have someone who manages and can help you with your social media that actually understands you and your business.
Yes.
So it becomes very organic. Sometimes when people, you're working with a different company, maybe that's trying to do that, sometimes it's hard just for them to figure out exactly who you are.
What your brand is.
Yes, so it definitely had the leg up with, being my sister. It's easier to communicate, and she knows what I like. But then we were able quickly to find some good friends that we could show them some visuals and different things like that of what we like, and we would make some different mood boards and say, this is kind of where we want to go. We want it to look something like this, a collaboration of this, this, and this together. But we were able to really just find such amazing people. We worked with one of my, Paige Wagner, she was my realtor when I moved here, and she gave me a couple contacts there. That's what was so nice, is like when you have those people that can just give you a couple of different people. Yep. So we started working with a couple different ones, and they really just nailed it. And we just feel like everything should be seamless throughout. We provide, one of our points of difference, what we provide for our stylists is we do monthly photo shoots for them, where we bring in the photographers, because when you're behind the chair, you're busy. A lot of times, sometimes we can snap that photo, but sometimes it's raining out, and sometimes you just don't have time. Your next client's there, or that client didn't come with any makeup on, and they're like, please do not take my photo. Yeah, so we try to arrange that time where it can be a creative time, and we can separate it out so that everyone feels good and confident and ready, and then it creates for seamless work in behind the chair, but also for our social medias and different things like that. We can capture like exactly what we want to get during those shows.
That's amazing. How much would you say you spend, at like a rough estimate, even if it's like a ballpark number, on marketing, and how much of that's paid versus organic? Right.
At the very beginning, I would say every shoot probably would cost us somewhere around $150 to $200, just depending on what stylist you're working with. Now, when you have a service to exchange, like hair, sometimes it kind of works out. So we, if you work with people that's what they want to, we kind of can trade a little bit, a little bartering, which is nice. But at the very beginning, I just paid for it, and it is one of those things that you're going to eat it, knowing that it's going to come back.
You're reinvesting in your business.
Yes, we do a little bit of like Instagram, marketing as well at the beginning, and just during like certain periods, we'll kind of see what we're kind of wanting to push out and different things like that. Especially if we have like new members coming on the team, we try to like kind of do a blast, like, hey, we got someone new, like this is exciting.
That's cute. People love that stuff.
Yes. So I would say on a monthly ongoing basis, we try to spend anywhere between $200 to $500 a month, depending on kind of where we're at with it.
Yeah, and that's great. And I'm sure you see a difference versus just kind of ignoring. I think marketing your business is just so important.
Definitely.
You can't just rely on things like word of mouth to build your brand. That makes sense. You mentioned something, points of difference. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Do you have points of difference like for the people that come to work for you or for your customers?
Yep. So we try to go with the two, both. That's what's kind of different in our business is we have two different customers. So when it comes to people that work for us, it depends kind of what they're going to do. So we offer rentals so that they can rent either a private suite or they can rent a chair or they can be part-time and just rent for the day. Then we also offer that they can be a commission stylist with us and they can work, 4 established. So each one kind of comes with different packages. So all of them have access, like I said, to the photographers that we bring in. Then also we provide all their back bar. So back bar is like when it comes to the shampoos and conditioners that they use on their clients. Many times that's not included. So I educate for Davines, and so it's a really important for me that we have clean products in our salon and high quality. So all that's provided for them. They don't have to worry about getting those. We provide all their education too. So we'll bring in, I teach a color across the state. So we'll teach them different color techniques and different things like that. That's always included in their package. And we just really try to make sure that they're always like supported in those different areas. But when it comes to clients, like I said, well, not only are we using those, more
the clean products
and different things like that. We even go into when clients receive a color service. When they're at the shampoo bowl, we use different. We've networked with Brio, it's called, and they have like hand massagers. So these little gloves, they can get their hand massaged during the gloves, the different scalp treatments, things like that. So just try to do those little things that like elevate the service and just make it nice and relaxing and just a little point of difference in there.
Little extra something.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've definitely evolved from probably when you started out in the hair salon industry to now. Can you talk to me a little bit about that, about how some of those ideas came to mind? Was it just like working in a lot of different salons and kind of figuring out, as a hairstylist, like what were you missing?
Right. Yeah, definitely. So when I first started, I worked as a commission stylist, and even when it comes to like hand massages and scalp massages, I was trained through Aveda, and that is one of their points of difference. But I thought it was awkward sometimes to give someone an actual hand massage and a head massage. So I was like, hey, there's a machine that does it. That's even better. And then you don't have to, it's not this awkward thing. So I was like, this is amazing. Let's do that. So that's kind of where we got like those little points of difference. When it came, another time after I, went individual and then into a salon suite, I thought, man, it would be amazing if there was photographers here that could capture, those different things. So I'm not having to do everything.
Sure.
So that's where I kind of got that, like, hey, let's try to like network, bring that in, help people push their business beyond. Some of even what we do is even for our stylists, if they work for us or rent a space. Also, we do like additional business education. So how much should you be charging? What is that formula? It's not just like some number. It shouldn't be some number you just pull out of thin air.
Sky,
exactly. How to file your taxes. There's different things that they've never had to do before, that like knowing that they need to have liability insurance, different things like that is things that people don't think about. They're just kind of like, a lot of times people they want to get the logo and they want to make the Instagram account and they feel like that's it, but there's a lot of those things that are behind, and so we just try to help facilitate that so that they can feel confident in that. But all those different things I feel like kind of helped added on. But yeah, I kind of went from each journey, when I was commissioned, and then I rented a chair, and then I was in a suite, and then I opened a salon. So yeah, I've kind of just taken all those little bits and be like, hey, this is like the best of all the worlds that I feel. But I always say that there's room for everybody at the table, and there's a different method that's going to be great for somebody else. Like sometimes when you're not meant to I always say I'm not meant to do everybody's hair even. Like even if you want to do everyone's hair, you don't have enough time and you don't want to, you know?
True.
So, and also like not everyone's meant to work with us, but there's somebody else that is going to facilitate what's best for them. But we try to bring in the most varieties and options available.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
And I love that you are using, like your experience in the field to help educate others, and hopefully, they're not going to make, maybe I won't call them mistakes. I like to think of like every step in life is like a learning lesson. Definitely. But if you can help someone get there quicker, why not pay it
less
forward?
Headache along the way. I think is always nice.
That's awesome. So kind of along the same lines, we always like to ask business owners, what is one piece of advice they would give to someone who's just starting out owning their own business?
Yeah, I would say my biggest piece of advice for owning a business, I would say always ask, how much is that going to make you back? I feel like especially in certain things when it comes to salons and different things like that, there's things that as creatives we think will look really cool. Like that's going to look so cool. Well, is it going to make you any money back? You know, how much, even we were able to network with a local artist to make a mural at one of our locations, and yes, it's an investment to put that there, but how much exposure do we get from that? And it's like kind of factoring all those things, like how is it going to just be cool for you, or is it really going to like help get you further along, or is it going to make money, or those different types of things. So I think it's just really weighing the costs, and even kind of, I always used to think like Apple makes so much per square foot. I think they're one of the highest retailers per square foot. And so even in our areas, we don't have large break rooms. And when people ask about them, I'm like, well, then you have to pay for them. And do you want to pay a higher amount because we have this big break room?
That's a good point.
And usually you don't. So that's just kind of like weighing those, like should we put more space? How much can that square foot make? And I feel like when people do that, that would be like the best, rather than just, it does look cool, because it will look cool, but is it going to make you money in the end?
I never even thought about those metrics and those things that you should consider before you even get started. I think you're right. I think a lot of people have this idea and they want to execute it right away, and they're really excited about it, but they don't necessarily think about all the little things it takes to get there. Definitely. What would you say are some of the best parts about owning your own business, and maybe some of the hardest parts?
The best parts about owning, for me, I really actually never wanted to own my own business. That was not like my dream. I always say I like hair, but I love people. And I feel like being able to do hair, I get in contact with a lot of people, which is my favorite part. I get to do life with them. And then being kind of the landlord or the boss or whatever, you get to also be a part of their life too.
Influence people.
So that is the best part, and we get to kind of do it on my terms, and I get to control atmospheres a little bit more. So that's important to me, because I just have you just have some things are like non-negotiables for you, and I think that's good. So that's my favorite part. I think the hardest part always is like the time that it's going to take you away from your family, and there's no clocking out. You never clock out, and you do have to find those boundaries that you have, and it's balance is a myth. There's no such thing as balance. You are always leaning one way or the other, and like if you're gonna be on a ball, it's not this perfect thing.
It's a seesaw.
It's a seesaw, yes. So it's always being finding those things, but I would say it's the time that it takes you away from your family, and the moments that you can't clock out is the hardest part, but it's worth it. It also gives you the flexibility then later on when you want to be with your family, you might have more of an option to do those things.
Because you can. What are some of those boundaries that you set for yourself, if you don't mind asking? I'm curious.
I would say I'm not great at them, honestly. That is the thing. I'm always like, I'm not going to work this day. And then I end up like usually coming up. I think especially when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like you're working. But I always say, but you do get exhausted. You still will get tired and you'll burn out. So for me, even this past, after Christmas, I knew I was going to take almost a week off from behind the chair and being here. But I went ahead and I went and visited family out of town so that I wouldn't be available here.
You physically were not
Sometimes
able.
I have to leave. Yes, I have to be like, I cannot get to it. You're going to have to figure it out on your own, or you're going to have to wait. So that is kind of one of those boundaries, and I try to just be like, okay, sometimes I'm going to have to leave like the actual state.
Evacuate from myself.
If that has to happen, we'll do it like that. So Yeah, so that's kind of for me. And then sometimes it's even just, having a time where you're going to put your phone down. And if they can't reach you for an hour, if the place burns down,
then you weren't there.
We'll figure it out when we're
pick
back
up the
online.
ashes tomorrow. Sweep them up. It'll be all right.
And it will be okay. So I would say those are what I try to do. I'm not always the most successful at them, but I'm working on it.
That's all you can do.
Right?
Progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
Is what they say. By the sound of it, it sounds like you were really, I won't say lucky, because obviously you worked hard and you found a way to make it work throughout the course of the pandemic, but a lot of other small business owners weren't, as fortunate. What would you say is kind of maybe the low point for you in your small business career, and how did you get through it?
I would say my lowest point was actually what kind of drew me here is I had opened a salon with a friend in South Florida, and put all the work, got it all opened, and then within a few months, we just were not, it wasn't going right. So she bought me out, and then I went back to actually the first salon. One of my really good friends, she had just expanded, and I went back behind just a chair, renting a chair from her, and it just really quick felt like that's not fair, and really honestly, and I always say when I was trying to figure out what to do, and people were like, take her to court, or whatever, and I'm like, you can win, but sometimes, it's better to walk away. And honestly, I just prayed about it, and I just felt like I was like, walk away, I have something better for you.
That's it, divine intervention.
Yes, and within a month, I was here. So it was and then within a few months, everything just happened. So honestly, I know for me, it really was God told me to walk away, and he said he had something better, and he's been faithful to that. But even when I was opening this first location, I remember there was just, you get all these things, you get all these bills, and you're trying to finish all this stuff, and I just remember feeling like I was drowning. I was like, I'm drowning, and I just think it is those moments where you just put it down, and you're like, I'm gonna control what I can control, and what I can't control, I'm just gonna leave it. And it does all work out. I think even if you're a business owner or not, in this time right now, we all feel like we're just picking everything up, and it's so much of this stuff you're not meant to carry it all.
Put it down.
It's not for you to hold, and it will all work out. And I think that is being an entrepreneur or a business owner. I think regardless of how far along you are in your journey, one minute you feel like I got it, and the next minute it's like I don't got it, I don't, all these things are going through, and that's normal. And I feel like even when I look at how far we are, yes, I know we're more successful, but you just take bigger risk. So I still invest just even more. So it's in a lot of ways, it's you're kind of no further. To me, I kind of feel like I'm no further than when I really started.
Sure.
It's just I have more the more responsibilities, but it's kind of the same game. And but I feel like eventually, the more you do that, it will.
Flow.
There will be that breaking point. Where you're like, okay, we're good here. But I would say that definitely my lowest moment was every time before we open something, it always feels like the world's gonna end.
Of course.
And it's just saying you know what, today, just this one thing.
Taking it day by day. And I think especially throughout the pandemic, it's just been you don't know what's going to happen, and people always that was everyone's thing. I'm just taking it day by day, and I was some people, I'm taking it hour by hour, because that's really how fast things are changing.
Definitely.
And I'm going to control what I can control in this exact moment.
Definitely.
And then everything else, I'm going to put it away. It's I've heard before, the definition of an anxiety is literally the fear of the unknown. Which is so weird. As humans, that we even stay up at night worrying about what we don't have control over, or what we don't know, what we genuinely don't know. So I think that's really great advice. What's another piece of advice that you might have for a small business owner that is maybe just building their business and is looking to grow the people on their team? Obviously, it's going to be different depending on the kind of business you run, but what are some takeaways or some things that you've learned from just hiring people to come work for you?
I think the biggest thing for hiring is, honestly, you'll never feel ready to hire the next person. You never feel ready. My best hires, they always have a hospitality mindset. So they're always they're not looking to make their self better. They're always how can I make this experience better? And the best ones, they're looking at me, they're how can I make Lynzee's life easier? Even though they want to do hair, they're still how can I set her tray up better that it's more, and they're amazing, and they make me any better. And I feel like it's the people that are just, they want to be a part of something, and whatever that looks like, those are the best ones. And typically I've noticed they come with like a hospitality background. When my first hires ever as assistants never did hair, so they only were assistants, and they wanted to get people coffee, and they wanted to make sure that it was clean and those things. So I feel like, honestly, if you can find a hospitality major, like, those people are amazing. And I feel like hospitality is at the core of every single job. Yes, so it doesn't matter. So find the people that are hospitable, who have like that, like, kind of like servant's heart, and are just like eager, but that their first thing is, how can I make this feel better for everybody? And those ones are always the best. And regardless if they pivot into other outlets or different things, I feel like they're always going to fit in and be able to be a good part of the team.
No doubt. There's a really good book that I've read called Hiring for Attitude. That is amazing. It talks about just that. Like, you don't necessarily have, like, while yes, sometimes it's important to hire for skill set. Right, like, experience is always great. The core, you know, things you should be looking for is, like, how coachable is someone? You know, how eager are they to learn? You know, are they going to work well with the team? Those things. Like, there's a whole study done that showed that more than 60% of the people that started a new job and failed was not due to any technical skill they didn't have. It was because they weren't coachable. They didn't work well with others. They weren't eager to learn.
Definitely.
So all of those things, I think, are huge, like you said, in any business.
Right.
Kind of going back a little bit to the small business community in Lakeland, and kind of, you know, how you came to Lakeland from South Florida. Did you feel like that was a little bit of a culture shock for you? Did you feel like the community, like, really embraced you right away? What were some of the ways you kind of dipped your toe into that community?
Well, I actually grew up in a small town outside of Chicago, so I was familiar kind of with that more small town feel. Like, this actually feels like home. South Florida never really felt like home. But even when actually we moved to South Florida the day after I graduated high school, and I came and looked at Southeastern, but I was kind of like, I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time, and I was like, I'm not gonna like pay that amount if I don't know what I want to do. So, but then I actually worked in ministry for like about 6 years, and I was always in Lakeland for, I worked in children's ministry, so many of our like conferences were here in Lakeland. Okay. So I knew the area. Yeah, so I knew the area. My brother went to college at Southeastern. He got married and stayed here. So I was always kind of in the area. And then as Lakeland developed, I was like, man, Levi, you didn't tell me I got like so cool here. I love it. Like,
they have escape rooms now.
Yes, yeah. It's time to come. Yes. But so it's kind of familiar with things in the area, and then my brother, you know, knew people. My sister then came to college here, so I was kind of like familiar with some things. But then I always, with anything you're gonna do, you have to get into a community. And so for me, honestly, it was like I found a community at a church. I started to go to Grace City, and that, you know, it's just such a great place to meet people. So I think any place that you can find community, if it's like a, you know, scrapbooking group or whatever it is, you know.
I love scrapbooking.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever it might be.
If you find a good one, let me know.
I will let you know. Whatever it is, if it's like just going to the park and finding moms, or, you know, finding someone to play basketball with, whatever it is, you kind of, that's where you're going to find your core. And then people want to support that. I mean, I would much rather give money to my friends and then, you know, just a big box store that I don't know. Yeah. So that was real quickly. Through that, I was able to meet other business owners too in the area, and we were just able to kind of become friends, and then it just naturally happened. So even through that, I became went to like a lunch group with some women, and I was just telling them like, hey, you know, it's crazy, I'm doing this, I don't know how it's gonna go.
I love it.
And now I think like with out of those like 8 people, I think I do 6 of their hair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like those things, the natural organic things. Like we were saying, the social media is great because it gives people that imagery, and it does make them feel calmer and kind of a visual of what they're getting into.
Yeah, and build like an awareness of like who you are.
Yes, but nothing will beat word of mouth. No. And nothing will beat that relationship. But so yeah, I think finding like community inside of those other outlets outside of business. So just not even going into it like with any, you know, like that I'm gonna, you know, I want you to buy something from me or whatever, or, you know, get a service. Just, you know, naturally finding those friendships and different community.
I think it's a lot. Yeah, it's definitely human nature to want to like like connect with people who have like similar values, similar experiences, and
definitely,
you know, I think like even like, and not to get nerdy about it, but like biologically, like you know, back in the olden days when villages and tribes were formed, it was of like-minded people, and those people supported each other, and that's how they survived. So it makes sense that the small business community kind of exists in that same way.
100%.
So kind of looking back, reflecting on your career, if you had to go back and talk to yourself and give yourself a piece of advice, is there anything you would have done differently starting out?
I think what everyone needs to in life remember, and so when I first started doing hair, I did hair for 6 months. I, you know, was quickly like doing really well in it, and then honestly, like I had no desire to do it anymore. And I didn't do hair then for 4 years after that.
Wow.
And so I think it's just important for people to remember, like, you don't have to do anything your whole life, and whatever it is, and then you can always come back to it. And like people, I think we think of things like so concrete, and this is forever, and if I don't want to do this later, like, or whatever, like it's, or if I stop doing that, I can't come back. Or, and I think just giving yourself more grace and knowing that there's a season for all of it, and sometimes it doesn't make sense, but it's okay if you need to take a break or you need to step back, because it can always come back around. And then also like just even acceptance, like that it's okay to fail. It's okay for something to completely fail and burn to the ground, because I feel like my husband and I always joke with the salon that didn't work out, like we're like, if we were to come face to face with those people again, would we shake their hand or punch them in the face? And I'm like, honestly, I'm in such a better place. I learned so much through that experience, things that I would do differently. Even honestly, it gave me the confidence that when I came here, that I was like, I know how to do that. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And so that failure and what felt like so final was the best thing that ever happened to me, and I cannot be in a better place. So I think like those moments, especially even, you know, going through, as we see, like going through this pandemic and businesses that have failed and that the door closed on that it's not necessarily final. It might be final for, you know, that LLC name or whatever, but you're not a failure.
You're not done.
Yeah, you're not done, and you can have so many other successful businesses after this, but it's just, you know, what are you going to pick up from that? And it's the quick down, quick up, you know, like you went down, like get down, like learn what you could out of that, and then like get back up and get moving forward, because, you know, staying there is not going to bring it back, but just get kind of, you know, moving forward and like knowing that it's okay to fail. It's 100% okay, and actually it can be the best blessing of your life.
Yeah, that positive attitude, that mindset is like everything. Because if you kind of just get down on yourself and give up, there's nothing you're going to gain from there. I think it has to be a really big misconception, I think, of success, right? Success is this destination, this like landing point. Oh, I'm successful. But the most successful people never ever say out loud, I did it, I succeeded. You know, like there's always more to learn, there's always more growth there. So that's awesome.
I think all the people, when you look back on like some of our biggest, you know, Steve Jobs, like those people, like Walt Disney, how many times did they declare bankruptcy? How many times were they eating ramen? You know what I mean? It's like, and those are really, you never really know. You only see like the big thing at the end of the day or whatever.
But no one ever sees what it took.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's kind of our goal in all of this, is to just show other people in the business community, like, you know, it's possible. You can do 100%. It too. You know, all these, you know, really seemingly successful business owners, like, were in your shoes at one point, and you know, here are some of the things they learned along the way. So
I love that.
Really appreciate your time today, Lynzee. It's been awesome to chat with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.